Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood. I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. And again, not like that makes a huge difference, but when I have my guests that are pretty close, like today's guest, it will make a difference because it gives you an idea of all the fun things that are happening in our own areas around here. With that, I also want a huge shout out, like I usually do, to the Chamber of St. Matthews. If you are not a part of your local chamber, you, as a small business, it is smart business to grow your business by connecting with the connectors. The connectors being those chambers and people like my guest today on this episode. So I highly recommend that you get involved in your communities and connect with those connectors that can get your business out there in ways that you cannot on your own. So I'm going to get right to it today because I know you really don't want to listen to me doing all this intro stuff. And while I could read her bio, I'm not going to read it word for word, but I am going to introduce you today to my lovely guest, Janette. So not Janette, not Janet, but it's Janette, which has been really interesting for me because I love to clarify how to pronounce my guest's name so that I don't like it's important to hear your name pronounced correctly. It's just, you know, just good etiquette, being a nice human being. So I try to be very intentional about how to pronounce names. So we joked about it in the green room a little bit. But Janet, she works with the Shelby County Tourism in the in Kentucky, obviously, but her background, she's got an extensive background in tourism and advertising and media. So she knows a thing or two about how to promote and get people to come in to an area in which they want to experience, and experience meaning probably come to your shop or your restaurant. So she is the person that you want to go to in your area. If you are not located in Shelby County, Kentucky, or in the Louisville area, then go to your local tourism person. And I will reiterate that at the end of our interview conversation. But until then, here's our conversation with me and Janette Marson with the Shelby County Tourism. Welcome, Janet, to my show, Small Business Success Talk. I very much appreciate having you be one of my guests.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, because it's going to be interesting since this is all about small business and success stories and things like that. From your perspective and what you do, this is going to be a really interesting conversation. So give me some of your background. I mean, I could read your bio, but give me your background and why do you love what you're doing? So
Well, as a lot of us in tourism, we started out on a different path. So my actual degree is in radio, television, communications. So I dabbled in on camera work. In college. I was on the radio. It wasn't really for me. TV was fun, but I really liked the creative work behind the scenes. So I went into creative writing and producing for the CBS affiliate in Indianapolis for several years. I've worked in a ad agency as a creative writer and producer, and then had my own advertising agency in Indianapolis as well. Moving fast forward, when we came to Kentucky, the tourism director job down by Lake Cumberland opened up, and of course, it's marketing and advertising and all the things wrapped up into a pretty bow. And I thought that is my dream job, and it was. So I stayed down at the Lake Cumberland Tourist Commission for about 9, almost 10 years, and then my children, I've got one in Louisville, 2 in Lexington, and Shelby County, Kentucky is right in the middle. So when this job opened up, it was just a perfect move. So that is a very encapsulated Reader's Digest version of my background.
So what do you love about working in the field of tourism?
Well, it is, like I said, it is all the things that I love doing all wrapped up into one position. Of course, in tourism, our main job is to market and advertise our destination for outside visitors to come and spend money and increase the economic vitality of the area. So we do radio, we do TV, we write creative blog posts. We do podcasts. We do all the things that I love. But it all benefits the communities where we live, making for a better job, making for better jobs, creating jobs, just adding to economic impact. Tourist spending is major impact in any area that promotes tourism.
And that was going to be one of my questions is like, how does a small business benefit from having a focused tourism effort in a community?
Well, they definitely benefit. So here in Shelby County and in a lot of my colleagues across the state as well, we will search out the small businesses, many of whom do not have a web presence at all. So the only presence they may have is what they have on our, for example, visit shelbyky.com website, or we all put all the businesses on kentuckytourism.com. And a lot of times you're Googling Kentucky made candies in blah, 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 and it pops up because that small business is on Google. We make sure they have a Google My Business page, a knowledge panel, and we love the small businesses. When tourists come into town, they're not necessarily looking for a Cracker Barrel or a restaurant or, small business or business that they can go to in their area, but they're looking for the smaller businesses, the mom and pops, getting
the local flair and flavor.
Flair and flavor. Absolutely. And those are sometimes the most important businesses to promote for tourism. Of course, we promote everybody, but love those mom and pop small businesses.
Well, and I love that. And it was one of the reasons like, oh, this will be a fun conversation. So do you get information as the tourism person? I don't even know how this happens, but do you happen to get information on like what's the farthest reaches somebody has come to your local community?
Oh, wow. They actually come from all over the world to Kentucky and in Shelby County. I think recently Germany, of course, we get a lot of people from Japan and Canada. The Canadians are in Kentucky. They're our number one international traveler here in Kentucky. Of course, COVID really put a damper on international travel. So it is just now picking back up. And I'm not sure what countries are, I don't know if any are still locked down or anything, but we have had visitors from Germany recently. And then of course, a lot of Canadians, definitely.
Well, Canada's just a road trip. So I mean, I just got back from Niagara Falls myself. I was like, oh, it's right there. I didn't realize it was so well. I mean, it's not so close to us, but as far as like a drive goes, I was surprised it's not from our area here, which is Louisville, Lexington, in that span of time. It could almost be equal to get to Orlando or Niagara Falls. Like it's not that much difference, maybe 2 to 3 hours when you're in a car. Like flying is a whole different conversation than driving.
It is definitely. And of course, Shelby County, we've got 2 bourbon distilleries here right on the Bourbon Trail, and we're within an hour of just about all the rest of the Bourbon Trail distilleries. So we're a perfect location. So we get a lot of travelers, both international and domestic, that are coming to Kentucky for bourbon. And then we are just right here.
So is the Bourbon Trail still a hot activity to do? Still
it is a very hot activity to do. Absolutely. When I first got to Shelby County, I was trying to figure out what is the hook. What is the thing that is going to make people spend the night? We have a fantastic outlet mall in Simpsonville, and it is probably the largest attraction, but it's a day trip attraction, I'm finding out. So wanting to market and figure out a way for all those day trippers to have other things to do. So we have had a major marketing switch to bourbon. Shelby KY, your bourbon destination. So we have 2 bourbon distilleries with 2 more coming in the next 2 years. But people from all over the world are flocking to Kentucky for the Bourbon Trail. Absolutely. That is probably the thing that is causing people in this part of the state to spend the night and spend
That's
more money.
still, it's just fascinating to me because I get, we all travel for different reasons.
Right.
And to have the reason be bourbon.
Yeah. Who would have ever thought? It took a while for that to take off, though. It was like, and I don't know the year, but it was like a bourbon explosion where it didn't used to be a thing. Not, I mean, it was always a thing, but not a thing like it is now. Where, I mean, it's a major travel drive. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it is causing people to come from all over the world. Of course, some of the distilleries, I mean, if you're not into bourbon, you can still have a good experience. I know I forget which one, but Chihuly, the artist that does the glass,
Yes.
one
Yeah.
of the distilleries has his artwork. So the distilleries, they think up new ideas to draw more people, whether you like bourbon or don't like bourbon, or just for the experience, the interest of how something is made.
Well, and I
Um,
know we've got some, I don't know about Shelby County specifically, but festivals, like we're a big festival state. We
Big
love our,
festival.
we love to party around.
Yes, yes, we do. And festivals. So Shelby County, we love our festivals as well. We've got a great one in the spring called the Dogwood Festival, talking about small businesses. Again, these festivals, and we love to promote them. We have a PR company we work with, and she pushes out the information way outside of our state for people to come in. These businesses, small businesses that set up at the festivals, they do really well, and that helps get their name out, you know.
Well, and a festival is a great time for the business to connect in the community.
Right.
And I know, I mean, I'm really involved with our local chamber here, St. Matthews, and we actually organize some of those community festivals and events. And that is the time that the businesses really get to shake hands and get back to that whole feeling of community that
Right.
we've lost somewhere along the way. And then the pandemic just made it even worse. And like, instead of the grind of just building the business, it's the being able to take that moment and to experience the people in your community that are helping you grow your business and just like getting face to
Absolutely.
face with them. It's always a fun time
It
to
is.
do that.
I agree. Something you said just reminded me, another way that a small business can use their local tourism office, no matter where you are, is we get so many small businesses that come in and say, let's say it's a vacation rental. You know, how do I get it on Airbnb? How do I get it on Google? How do I get it on, your website, the state website? So a lot of questions, and a local tourism office is here to help those businesses of all sizes. Mostly that is small businesses, though, that need the extra direction of how to get their business outside, to the most amount of people to see what they're doing. So we give a whole lot of information and instruction when we can, to people who want it.
I would also, so I have like this imagine, I used to work in an ad agency myself,
Yeah.
and we had the Kentucky Tourism as one of our clients.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I actually still have a picnic basket as one of my internal get like it was just I
Oh,
know, like I love the pieces of, pack your lunch and do the trips in Kentucky. Um, but part of the fun of that was with tourism specifically, you get to think of all kinds of big ideas.
we do. We
Like the
do. We absolutely do. And with the ARPA funding, so suddenly, there was thanks to the legislators and Governor Bashir, there was ARPA funding for tourism specifically. And Kentucky Tourism is saying we want big ideas, things, think out of the box, things that you would never be able to do marketing wise with your current budget. So, I mean, that's been exciting and challenging all at the same time.
well, yeah, I mean, to be able to take the opportunity to be like, we're no longer in survival mode. Like, let's pretend we're not in survival mode.
Exactly. Exactly. And so many of our tourism offices, I mean, during COVID, we had the lights off, people were working from home. You were trying to scrimp and save every single penny because travel was not a thing. And, that's how we, make our money. That's what funds a tourism office is when people are spending the night at the hotels. And if there
Right.
is no one spending the night in hotels, we're in trouble. So yeah, we're slowly crawling back.
So I am so glad to hear that because I love to travel. In fact, I'm also a travel agent as part of what I do with one of my businesses,
Yeah.
because it allows me to put together turnkey programs for leadership teams. So think field trips. I can handle all of the details.
Oh,
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah. So another reason I'm glad to have a tourism person on here because I'm like, what are the things you could do for groups? Like if you wanted to focus on bringing your small business leadership team or, the family as they are also
Right.
called
Yes.
to go like think of your own business in a different way for a day, what would be some great ideas to go do in Shelby County? And that's another
Groups,
thing.
groups is a big deal in
Yeah.
tourism. So we have like a profile sheet. A lot of times we'll go to the group travel shows and think up itineraries for groups when they come in. For Shelby County, Kentucky, of course, the outlet mall, they roll out the red carpet for groups. And then we have Claudia Sanders. No matter if you're domestic or international groups, people love Colonel Sanders and they want to be in the places where, he ate and sat and, worked. And then we have so many saddlebred farms here. So actively going to these farms and saying, hey, do you accept tours? Can a motor coach come to your farm? Does it fit? Can you turn around? And figuring out all those details. One thing that we have that I'm very excited, and this would be smaller groups, maybe up to 10.
Okay, wait, I'm going to pause you for a second. We're going to
Okay.
come back to that.
All right.
You have sourdough bread farms?
Saddle bread.
Saddle bread. Because I was already like
horses.
sourdough bread.
No,
What?
I'm glad you stopped me. I don't want people to think we're the sourdough capital. We're the saddlebred horse capital of the world. So more saddlebred farms here than anywhere else in the.
I mean, it kind of is the bluegrass. So, okay. I
And
just wanted to clarify.
Yes, and saddlebred horses are the ones with the fancy gait, the trot that lift their legs really high. But yes, so farm tours, the Claudia Sanders, the outlet mall, and then absolutely number one are the bourbon distilleries that we have here, like I said, and then two more coming. So the hook is bourbon, but get them, interested in doing all the other things as well. And what I mean,
that makes for a great training day for me. My perspective is like that makes for a great training day. Just all of that packaged together because you could do, horses in the morning, Claudia Sanders, and finish with a bourbon tour and learn something at each place. I mean, that right there is packaged with a nice, neat little bow.
Exactly. Though the one thing I'm very excited about, one of the most exciting things I learned about when I came to Shelby County is that we have guided horseback riding trails. So you can rent the horses and do a trail ride. Now, if in the state of Kentucky, you would think that wouldn't be that exciting. However, in Kentucky, there are very few guided trail rides. The state parks used to do them, and they don't anymore, or very few state parks do. So in Kentucky that I know of where you can actually rent horses is Simpsonville in Shelby County. I think you can in Mammoth Cave area, and then in Georgetown, and I don't know very many other places. So when people find out, oh gosh, we can go horseback riding, we can actually not just look at horses, but we can get on horses and ride, is super exciting. So, and they do groups up to 10 at Redford Riding Center there in Simpsonville.
Nice.
So excited about that.
So what has been your biggest challenge since you've been in tourism? Other than the pandemic, we know that that's like this.
Yeah, that probably was the biggest one. And this is an ongoing challenge, no matter who you are in any state across the US in tourism, is getting your elected officials to understand and educate them the importance of tourism. We come before them when we talk about tourist spending. Tourists spent, in Shelby County, they spent over $73 million, in 2021. But we're not giving those elected officials a check of 70, $3 million.
Right.
So it is a true education on that tourist spending brings back, part of the taxes comes back to the city or the county, the increase in jobs. A lot of times I like to use those small businesses and have them talk about what tourist spending meant to them. And then that helps with the elected officials. But thankfully in Shelby County, they get it. They understand the importance of tourism, but not to say that you don't continually need to educate those that are elected in whatever city or county the importance of tourism. That goes for if you're in Louisville or if you're in a tiny, town somewhere in Kentucky. But I would say that. And then in Shelby County, just figuring out what is that hook? What is that thing that is going to make folks want to spend more time, more money, more nights here? So we work with a research company. If you don't have good research, it's hard to do good wisdom backed marketing and advertising.
And
So
I'm going to throw in, go back and listen to the episode with Chris Bonbright, who does research. Research is a big deal. There's things you don't know that you really need to know.
absolutely. Yeah. Without research, for years, Kentucky Tourism did not do research for whatever reason. They have for several years now, maybe the last 5 or 6, worked with a research company, but we were flying blind for a really long time. Like what? And so now we have, thanks to those that are in charge, we have great research and great information, but yeah, you can't do something, market and advertise if you don't know who's coming and what they're spending and where they're going.
I'm not a fan. I've said it multiple times. I am not a fan of let's throw it up against the wall and see what sticks method.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm all for trying something new, but I like to have some research backing it to see if you're spending your money in the right place.
Well, and there's also I may like it, but the people I'm talking to probably don't give a crap. So let's figure out what they really want and match that up with what I like. Make it the Venn diagram is pretty simple to this.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but thankfully, I'm very thankful for the folks that have been in Frankfort at Kentucky Tourism now. I mean, they do the research, they send it out to us. We are well informed. And then in Shelby County, we hire another research company as well. But we've got great assets as far as the people that are in charge in Frankfort.
So what, if anything, do you have any fun success stories that have come out of, small business and tourism?
Well, so I have only been here in Shelby County since March, so I'm still working on success stories. I do hear, of course, we do fam trips and bring in media, and you always highlight our small businesses. And I have heard we have a new Vietnamese restaurant in Simpsonville, and he's made a comment that it's helped bringing those media in, definitely. But probably, well, the one thing that I always remember when I was down in Lake Cumberland, Southern Kentucky, there was a small, they had a lodge and they had a little restaurant and things. And I remember them saying, we made X amount of dollars before we became involved with tourism, but after we became involved with tourism and they were giving me information and we were helping them, get promote their business. They were saying we doubled, even tripled our, the amount of money that we made. So those are the kind of success stories we want to hear. We want to hear that because somebody allowed us to put them and promote them for free. We do it all for free. Their business doubled or tripled. But those are the success stories that we love to hear. And usually it's the small businesses that feel it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's shift it a little bit to you
Okay.
personally,
Oh,
Janet.
golly. Okay.
Yeah, because I love to hear from other people. I mean, this is for my benefit as much as it is for the listeners, but we talk about things that inspire us or people that have inspired us. So, who over the years has been part of your inspiration?
Um, there have been many people. My very first job that I got out of college was at an ad agency. This gentleman that owned it, it was called the Promotion Company down in Indianapolis. It was almost terrorizing, but yet it shaped me in a certain way.
I,
I would
I
walk in, I would
yes.
walk in every day to the ad agency, and there was a giant mural of the owner. I mean, giant mural. And the words above his head were, be great or be gone. And so I walked past that mural every single day for several years. But I mean, I think it instilled in me work ethic, to try, I think hopefully I would try and do my best anyway, no matter what job I have, to always do your best, be great, or there's somebody else that could take your place. But being in that first job definitely shaped me. And then I've had several really good bosses, managers, just watching them interact with clients and people helped shape me. Doing some really good hospitality training. I mean, you in this business in tourism, absolutely, you have to have great hospitality skills, and that can flow over into, just how you talk to your elected officials. You definitely get uh, uh, more things and better things with honey than with,
Vinegar.
vinegar. Definitely. But I'm not sure, I think it was multiple people, I would say, shaped me in that hospitality skills. And you're always honing and making your growing and trying to make yourself better in that area. uh, Continuing education is always a big thing. But I don't know if I could say, I mean, there were so many people that have shaped me and continually shape me into being a better boss, a better person, a better just human in general. But yeah, that first job, that definitely be great or be gone. That one
That
truly shaped me into trying to be, yeah, I continually tried to be a better person in that job.
uh yeah, my parallel experience was do whatever it takes was the motto of our agency, and that meant if you needed to work 48 hours straight, you do that.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, be great or be gone. I was cutting commercials at midnight at a TV station for this ad agency because it would save them money and just, yeah, yeah.
Oh, the good
Those
old
were the
days.
those were the good old days. I know there's labor laws, but whatever. Do whatever it takes. Be great or be gone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the extension of that was a personal conversation. Somebody had gotten irritated because the situation that I was still the low man on the totem pole at this time, and I got told to go do something. Well, it was outside the office. Somebody else got mad because I got to go outside the office. They reported me, and so literally the owner of the company pulled me in, and she looked at me and she's like, "Who the hell do you think you are?" And I was so young and inexperienced. It's like, "Whoever you tell me to be."
Exactly. Oh, have we grown since those days? Just thinking back to,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
early influences, that's for sure. So, through all of these people who've ever inspired you, I also love to hear what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh golly. The best piece of advice I've ever received. Um, I am blank. Sorry. I'm
I mean, other than be great or be
yeah, that's See, I must have PTSD because that's all I'm thinking about right now is that. I don't know if this is, well, I think continually through my career, and it's kind of advice, is that you reach more people or get better things, like not saying it right, through honey rather than vinegar. I think that is truly good advice no matter what career you are in. I've been in tourism situations previously, or other situations, not just tourism, where there was some conflict and you have to come in and kind of, be a moderator for that, fix it somehow. And you can't come in, you cannot, lose your temper. You have to listen. That's really good advice. I remember I was in a class one time. It was a listening class teaching you to keep your mouth shut and listen to people, and then repeat back what they've said so that you are understanding. So listening and that little bit of honey in every situation goes a really long way. I would say those two things.
Which is, you're right. Those are very important for no matter what career trajectory, life trajectory. Like, that's really good. That's good to remember. That I remember, I don't remember when I heard it. It was a long time ago, that God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like to talk. I talk a lot. But I remember when I first got into tourism, of course, I had the marketing and the advertising, but I didn't have that government entity and all that goes with that, the CARA statutes and all the things. So I really tried to listen to other people's conversations and just get information and glean from them. They probably thought, who is this creepy person that's always in the background listening? But no, I don't think they thought that. But to listen more than you talk can really go a long way. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then I also, as a boss, we had a discussion not too long ago. I mean, this is a hard market for finding really good talent. Thankfully, I have an excellent staff. I mean, excellent. I can't even brag about them more. They are wonderful. But occasionally you run into people that don't perform, or we had, somebody that showed up for a while and then just disappeared. And how do you deal with employees and things like that? And be honest, with them. Don't let bad behavior go on a long time, but definitely sit them down in it and find out what's going on. So, I mean, that's a good advice for any management folks. Don't be too nervous. Don't be afraid of conflict. But talk to your employees, just figure out what's going on. And if it may not be a good fit, and if it's not a good fit, they may be, happier somewhere else.
I've, in my own leadership training, I have heard you can liberate them back to the workforce.
That's right. Out to the wild. Back out with you. Out to the wild. And a lot of times they appreciate it as well, so yeah, but it's hard right now to find really good people, for whatever reason, a multitude of different.
There's so many reasons for that. Very many. And that's a
whole other
podcast.
It's a whole other podcast right there.
Absolutely. That's a lot to go into in one day. Okay. As to wrap this up, Janette, because I want to be able to.
Janette. Yes. Janette Marson.
Because it's just slightly different.
It is slightly different.
And I just want to be very intentional about saying it correctly.
Thank you. You did a fabulous job.
Okay. So we always we wrap up the episodes with one last question. And what does success mean to you?
Success does not mean monetary success to me, obviously, because I work in tourism. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll drop it.
But it does not mean monetary. Success means If I have lived a life that has bettered the people around me in some way, have I lived a life um, of service? Have I lived a life that I have bettered the lives of people around me? That would be success. And then most definitely success to me is my family. You know, my children, are they, of course, they're in their 20s now, but um, are they growing up to be the men that I wanted them to be? Are they doing things, greater things than me? Are they in their careers, in their lives, in their families? And thankfully, I have to say yes on all those counts as well. Success, definitely family, and then just as a human being, bettering the lives of people around me. Hopefully, when I'm gone, people will say, "Oh, that Janette, she just, helped so many people," or I don't know what they'd say, but hopefully that's what they'll say.
Well, you're in a great spot for that because tourism is one of those just really fun areas for that benefits so many different things. Benefits community and businesses and government. Like it just helps build everything all at once. This is the rising tides, if you will. Like,
It is. Yes,
yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, for those that are thinking, trying to make career choices, tourism is wonderful for making lifelong friends. I mean, we are truly, in the state of Kentucky, at least, we are truly family, a tourism family, both the state and then the tourism directors across the state as well. I think other states have looked at Kentucky and said, oh my gosh, you guys all get along and work together to make, to bring tourists to the entire state. So yeah, it's just a great industry. It's great people, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you're right, you have the chance to make the lives of people around you better.
Awesome. Well, Janette, thank you so much for your time today on our episode for Small Business Success Talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. I knew going into it, while yes and no, Janette does not own her own business. Nobody owns tourism, so to speak. I just knew this was going to be a great conversation about how small business really benefits from tourism. And some of you, it may be like, obvious. Well, sure, if you're like created to support tourism, like a distillery already has that kind of a plan built in. We can have groups come in and do these fun things. Well, what if you're not? But how can you tie into that? How can you be an accessory to another experience in your area that just provides a whole day of fun and again, back to the experience of tourism. So don't discount the idea of being able to work with your area tourists, um, tourism board, tourism. We'll just call it tourism. Some different areas call it different things, I'm sure. But go to them and get the big ideas, right? If you're ready to be creative and you're like, I need an idea on how to bring people in from further out. Like I've done all I can for my immediate neighborhood. How do we bring more people into the area? Get into those conversations. Go to your chambers, go to your tourism boards, and have that conversation. I love to hear the stories too. Well, and also Kentucky, we touched on it, the Bourbon Trail. I remember when this thing just got started. You were like, what is that? Oh, that kind of sounds fun. And the Bourbon Trail is not just distilleries, but it also includes restaurants that you can go visit, have lunch, but that carries an extensive variety. So you can do tastings even at specific restaurants. Go check that out. Shelby County obviously is part of that Bourbon Trail. They've got those two new distilleries coming in. And I love the idea of everything that you can put together in a day experience, as well as that day experience can be extended into 3 days of immersive. It be in areas you probably wouldn't have even considered. It's not huge like a Niagara Falls or a Disney World, but all of those things can be very beneficial to, I don't know, maybe de-stressing for a weekend. What a concept. So look in your own state, in your own areas. If you're in our area, visit Shelby County. Go talk to Janette. I'm sure she's got some great ideas for you. And in the meantime, I would love to have more guests and spotlight more business owners on Small Business Success Talk. I love to get your stories out there because I love to learn from other business owners what they're doing and what their stories have been, best practices, how they have survived through the shutdown, how they're growing it through the recession. Recession, what? What's that? I don't even know. Like, who cares? Like, how do we keep moving it forward regardless of the situations and circumstances around us? Those are the people I love to talk to because those are the people who know how to overcome and get through the adversity of all of the things and what success really means for them. Best advice they've ever received, all of those good things. I love to hear that. This show totally jazzes me, and I hope you get a little entertainment value and some, beneficial knowledge out of it. Go put it to use. Have a great day. Join us again on the next episode of Small Business Success Talk.